Hello and welcome to the second installment of Falchi's Real Estate Facts. In this series, I aim to educate you on the fundamentals one should know when considering making a real estate purchase in New York City. In this video, I will discuss best practices one can adopt when touring open houses. It is important to be observant, ask the right questions, and think critically about the information you are receiving. Firstly, let's discuss being polite and presentable. This might seem obvious to some, but it is important to be polite in your interactions with brokers and owners and dress the part. You certainly don't need to be suited and booted for every open house you attend, but you should also not show up in sweatpants and a tank top. Smart casual is definitely the way to go. First impressions are very important, and you never know if the owner or a board member might be at the open house, so being polite and presentable is a definite must. Next, it is important to be observant and soak up the potential data points that are all around you when touring an open house. When you first arrive, you will usually be guided to a sign-in sheet. If you're attending the open house without your broker, it is very important that you add their name, firm, and contact information to the sign-in sheet next to your name. This is to make sure that the listing broker is aware that you are working with your own broker. If this is neglected, some listing brokers may try to block your use of a buyer's broker, which has many potential negatives, the least of which is having representation where your interests are not the first priority. The sign-in sheet is not only there for your protection, but is also the first opportunity to collect some helpful data points. How many people have signed into the sign-in sheet? If there are already 20 names in the sign-in sheet, you can conclude there is a lot of interest on this unit. Is this the first open house? You can usually gauge this from the listing's days on market. Less than 7 typically means that it is. Next, look up and around. How many people are at the open house currently? Not everyone signs into sign-in sheets, and gauging the room can often be very helpful. Keep your ears open, not only for the questions and answers from the brokers in the units, but also comments from other prospective buyers. You may overhear someone who is very interested in the unit and plans to put an offer down right away, or conversely has disregarded the unit due to something negative that they have noticed which you perhaps not yet. Asking the right questions to the listing broker is also very important, but before we discuss what those are, it is prudent to first understand that we are not trying to educate the competition, just ourselves. So find a quiet corner, make sure no one else is listening. If this is not possible at a busy open house, then it's better to wait and have your broker follow up with questions after the open house is finished. I think it's nice to start with some lowball questions and then make my way to the bigger questions that provide the juiciest info. For example, are there any washer-dryer hookups in the unit? It's an easy question that almost all listing brokers will have the answer to and can somewhat break the ice. The idea behind the question is, of course, to learn if we can add a washer-dryer to the unit, which of course adds convenience to the owner of the unit as well as adding to its resale value down the road. Next, I would ask if there are any current assessments or tax abatements. Assessments are monthly charges for a select period of time over and above the building's general monthlies, usually used to pay off capital improvement costs. So it's important to know if there are any current assessments. If the answer is yes, then it's prudent to find out what it is for, how much it is, and how long it lasts. If the answer is no, then I would inquire a little further and ask when the boiler and the roof were last renovated, as these two elements are typically the most expensive capital improvements in a building, and if they have not been replaced or renovated in the last 30 years or more, that work could be coming down the pipeline and mean an assessment in the near future. Finally, for this area, I would ask about the building's reserves. As I mentioned in my previous video discussing condos versus co-ops, building reserves are liquid assets building has to carry out capital improvements. If the reserves are low and the roof and boiler are old, you can almost guarantee some form of assessment will be coming shortly. Conversely, tax abatements are tax incentives offered usually in new construction and will discount the property taxes required to be paid substantially for, in some cases, decades. So it's important to know if there is an abatement, the length of time of the abatement, and how much the taxes will likely be when the abatement ends. Now, on to the juicier questions. Many of the next questions I'm about to discuss, a competent broker will be very careful about answering, if they answer at all. but you cannot imagine how often I do get answers to these questions, so they are definitely worth having your broker ask. Firstly, are you entertaining any offers at the moment? The motivator behind this question is, of course, to ascertain what our current competition is, and all brokers typically should answer this one. They may say that they have received 2 offers so far, to which we may retort, are you still entertaining offers below the asking price? And again, most brokers will answer, yes, they may say, which lets us know that the 2 offers that they have are likely below the asking price and are problematic for one reason or another. Next, you could ask if they are still entertaining financed offers. If they say yes, then we can likely conclude that if they do have an all-cash offer, it is likely not close to the asking price. Finally, if a good rapport has been established with the listing agent, I might finally ask, can you give me any flavor as to where the seller would like to land? No broker should answer this question, but it's amazing how many do. They may say, I can't give you an exact number, but my client is holding out for the asking price. Or maybe they are very loose-lipped and they say, well, we just had our top offer back out, so if you can meet X number, you'll have a good chance. It is always worth asking these questions, as you never know what helpful data it might yield. There are many nuances that most people do not consider when touring open houses, and being able to recognize those and then think critically about them is what can give you a marked advantage on the competition. I hope you have found this second installment of Falchi's Real Estate Facts helpful. Please feel free to leave any comments or suggest any topics you would like me to review, and I will do my best to get to everyone's requests and will continue to post more videos for my ongoing series, Falchi's Real Estate Facts. All the best, and thank you so much for watching.